Leroy's old.
Our resident running back. It is the man, the myth, the legend. It is Leroy Hoard. What's up, Leroy?
What's up, fellas?
Leroy.
What's happening?
Leroy, are you caught up in Marlins fever right now?
I mean, they scored 1 run last night. No, I mean, yeah, I'm caught
Josh
up
Bell
in it.
hit the cover off of it.
He did.
Yeah,
Former
yeah.
Guardians
By the
slugger.
way, I was getting ready. You guys were talking about Cavs. Y'all got a good one now. Max Strus. He can play.
Yeah. Hey.
He can play. He shoot the lights out, too.
Yeah, we know that, and we needed that.
I hope he can shoot in the playoffs.
I'm about to
Nobody else on
say,
this team can.
we don't care until the playoffs.
Hey, these guys, Leroy,
Call me in April.
Oh, these guys. You see how jaded they is, man. Enjoy the ride. Enjoy
Bull
the
said,
games.
he doesn't care if they go 82-0.
Don't care. All that matters is the
And you know
playoffs.
what? I'm with you.
That's
You know what?
No,
The
that's
regular
true.
season is labor pains.
That is true.
The
Well, I'm
playoffs,
gonna teach you-
show me the baby.
I'm going to teach you guys a lesson in sports fandom,
Yes.
right? All of what you saying, you can feel that way. I want a team, and I want to root for a team who's in the mix every postseason.
That's
Eventually,
a
it's
fact.
going to pop. Okay?
Oh.
But what happens is everybody gets antsy about not having success in the playoffs. You make drastic changes, and then you end up 1-31.
Oh, that was cold.
So I'm just saying,
Yeah.
be careful with what you wish for.
Well, the Browns
Want to
didn't go to
change
the playoffs
players and
before
do
1
this
and
and
31.
do that. Huh?
The Browns hadn't gone to the playoffs in a while before 1 and 31, though.
No, I know. But
But I hear you. I
But
get
they
what
sure
you're
made
saying.
drastic changes.
Yeah.
And by the way, I heard you knuckleheads talking and going back and forth.
Here we go.
Like here's how analytics works, right? The guy brings over a piece of paper because the coach asked him, "How do we look here?" It's like when everybody started doing self-scouting, right? But now it's just more educated self-scouting. And they do the analytics for all these various situations. But in the end, Kevin Stefanski is making the call.
Absolutely.
Now,
yeah.
the
in
thing
the
I hate-
micro.
The thing I hate about analytics is this. Because a lot of these coaches, when they make a bad decision, will say, well, the analytics pointed to that.
Yeah.
And they absolve themselves from the decision making, which is a joke.
I agree with that.
Okay? So that's the problem and the only problem I've ever had with analytics. As a coach, you're a leader. You got to be able to see the game, feel the game, and understand how this game is being played and how it needs to be won.
Couldn't agree more.
And
Yeah,
numbers
but-
don't always do that.
And by the way, a lot of coaches go against the analytics and make stupid decisions too. So.
Well, sometimes
Right,
they
no,
make
I
stupid
agree.
decisions going with them.
Agreed. But
Yeah.
but it's funny that you look at
shouldn't
some of
blame
your best you look at some of the best coaches in the NFL and we don't even talk about analytics.
they all
Right?
use it.
They
though.
may use them, but we ain't talking about them like this. Like a coach should never be using analytics as to why.
It
Ever.
can't be the Bible. It just can't be.
Right. Because that's what makes that's what makes, coaching so unique.
And what analytics don't show, Leroy, and you know this, if a coach decides, well, the analytics tell us we should go for it on 4th and 2.
But I know my team.
That's right. And what the analytics aren't telling you is how have you been doing in that situation
course it's telling you
today?
that.
No, today.
No, it's not. No, it's
Today.
not.
But you would know.
Some
Why would you-
days, 4th and 2, you're 100%. Other days, those 2 yards feel like they might as well be 20. And the coach has to be able to factor in game flow and
coaches
feel.
do that.
Yeah, they do. They do. To varying degrees, they do.
And so what you're telling me is that if you got a rookie quarterback playing the Baltimore Ravens, you probably shouldn't be going 5 wide in the first quarter. Matter of fact, how'd you like the game plan, Leroy? Did you like what they did with DTR? Go ahead and tell me about that.
First of all, let me explain something to fans, and this bothers me to no end. Just because you're cleared to play, don't mean your ass can play. Okay?
We saw that Sunday.
And it's a shame, but I think Kevin Stefanski was trying to protect the team because maybe they didn't have him on the right list. You see what I'm saying?
No.
on the injury list, on the right injury list.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Because everybody found out at the last damn minute that he wasn't playing. And so when he said, "Oh, the doctor cleared him to play," that drove me crazy because you know what? Every week, and whoever goes out to the game, and you go to the game and you watch early, they'll have 5 or 6 guys out there.
Yep.
5 or 6 guys working out who have all been cleared to play. They don't all play because some of them don't look right. Some of them don't feel right. And so for a coach to put that out there just sends a bad message to what everybody's going to think about Deshaun Watson.
That's exactly
100%.
right. You're right.
We talked about that yesterday.
Because guess what? You know what my last image y'all remember years ago Chicago played in the playoffs and Jay Cutler got hurt and he was on the sideline riding the bike and everybody was booing him?
Yes.
And come to find out he had a torn ligament.
Torn ligament in his knee.
Torn here,
Right.
here, right?
Yeah.
Right. Let's stop playing this game of we think he's healthy or not. That's a decision.
Now,
everybody's different.
Leroy, we couldn't agree with you more, and we spent the bulk of yesterday saying exactly that. However, I do think that there was a misstep in the entire process, and here's when it happened. Friday, when we left the air at 1 o'clock, we were all under the assumption he's not going to play. The day before, he came out, he threw the ball once, he left the field and told the trainer, I can't do this. So we were operating under what we'd seen, that he's not going to play. If he can't throw the ball on Thursday, and he wasn't throwing the ball on Friday, common sense tells you he's not going to be able to do it in 48 hours. Now, after we left the air, around 1:30, I believe, Mary Kay Cabot sends out a tweet that said, just talked to Deshaun Watson. I'm paraphrasing. He says he expects to play.
Yeah.
And that changed the direction of the vote immediately. And so now, all of a sudden, we went from, no, he's not playing, to the quarterback himself on Friday afternoon said he should be. Here's the tweet.
He didn't want to
said
elaborate,
he's
said he's okay.
So he's telling her Friday, I'm okay, and I expect to face the Ravens. So from that tweet, Cleveland immediately felt, we all breathed a collective sigh of relief, and we said, okay, if he's telling us he feels okay and he expects to play. And so we woke up Sunday morning thinking he was going to play.
But Stefanski made it much worse by his comment.
I agree with you.
But here's the other thing. Here's the other thing. Is that he could feel great, and he felt great. He didn't feel good after throwing one ball.
No, he didn't.
And he didn't throw any balls up until game time. So he could feel great. That's because you ain't throwing the football.
Right.
And then you go out there on Sunday or whatever and throw the football and be like, guys, I'm sorry. This ain't going to work. Now, let me ask you a question. Because people have gotten on, Deshaun and say, oh, it's the money thing or whatever. Would you rather him go out there and play like Joe Burrow?
No. Or Baker Mayfield when Baker Mayfield had the injury to his left shoulder. No. Stay on the sidelines.
Here's the problem that I had. You got a first-time starter against a top 5 defense. Help him out a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
And you're losing O-linemen, right? Like, listen, every quarterback has to go through this. It just sucks that he got to go through it for us, play Baltimore. So I'm not mad at him. I understand. I've seen young quarterbacks come into the league and kind of go, oh my goodness, they shooting, right? This is real.
And they're real bullets.
Right.
Unlike preseason.
And here's the interesting part.
Shooting.
You know when you in college and you can just run around, right, and make plays, and then you get to the league and somebody 270 keeping up with you.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So that's that look right there.
Right there.
Wow.
That was his welcome to the
he's
NFL
fast.
moment that you always hear about. The welcome to the NFL moment.
And here's the thing. the game's a lot closer for one thing. No turnovers, right?
Yeah, you're right about
So
that.
we can talk about the Ravens only had didn't even have 300 total yards. Don't tell me about Lamar Jackson. Don't tell me about all they were doing or whatever. They played on a short field for most of the game. That was the problem.
You're right.
So if you had run the ball 3 times and punted, you would have had a better chance of winning the game than what you did. They just put him in a bad spot. Now, I don't know if that was because they assumed that Deshaun Watson was going to play. I don't know. I don't know what's going on behind, or they thought that DTR could handle it. I don't know. But I do know that. Huh?
You got a
Go ahead.
stat. You got a stat. You said.
Yeah, this actually backs up what both Leroy and G have been saying, how Stefanski didn't necessarily help out DTR. And Leroy, maybe you could talk about the difficulty of a quarterback in empty formations, but they ran empty on 28% of DTR's dropbacks against Baltimore. 28%, 12 out of 43 dropbacks were from empty sets. To put that into context, of the 5 rookie quarterbacks that have played this season, that is second most, only behind C.J. Stroud. That's more than Anthony Richardson, who's played in multiple games, more than Bryce Young, who's played in multiple games, and more than Aiden O'Connell, who also made his first start on Sunday.
Right. So,
Because they thought Deshaun was playing.
Right, but wait, here. Tavis, that ain't no damn excuse to not go out and try to win.
No, I agree with you. I'm just
You
saying
still right.
They didn't change the game plan, and they thought DTR
you
could
got
just
to.
handle it. That's why I
Hey,
agree with you. I agree.
It's like,
Leroy, but-
and wait, here's the other thing. Let me throw one more at you.
Yeah.
Y'all talk about dude from Indy.
Oh, he 11 for 25. Don't do that.
No. I'm talking about the running back.
Jonathan
Jonathan
Taylor.
Taylor.
I thought you were talking about
Jonathan
the quarterback.
Taylor. You wasn't running the ball when you had Nick Chubb.
Thank you.
Hey, you gonna pick another guy?
Thank you. Thank you.
not true.
We got on you for not.
That's
Thank you.
nonsense.
Thank you.
Nonsense.
You didn't run when we had the best back in the
Oh
game.
my God. That's such nonsense.
How many times we came up in here and I say, man, I wish they would have ran it a little bit more. It seems
Every
like
week?
they could have ended the game.
Leroy, you can't say they don't run him a lot when he was third in carries in the league last year.
We want him first.
Should have been first.
We want him number one.
But wait.
So
wait,
the other
wait.
31
Wait,
teams didn't
no.
run it a lot. Only one team ran it a lot then, based on that theory.
Only a few teams do.
Boom.
Yeah.
Talk to
I'm
him.
not saying Nick Chubb got to get all the carries. I'm saying that there were a lot of times last year when we talked about what they do with Jacoby Brissett that they should have probably ran it more with somebody. So I'm gonna bring in another guy and pay him a whole bunch of
Well, I'm
money.
not saying trade for Jonathan Taylor personally, but the Browns ran it plenty. They were in the top 10 of run percentage last year. You're making way more out of it than it is.
Listen, the Browns did.
What?
The Ravens did a good job of stopping the run last.
The Browns weren't running effectively anyway.
Well, guess what? You know why they did a good job of stopping the run? Because you was in 5 wides.
Yeah, that's
Right?
true.
We've
And
been
you ain't
whining
had
for
to run.
years that the Browns use too many
No.
tight ends and are never
No, wait.
in 5 wide. Now we're mad that they're in 5 wide. That's true.
That is true.
When you got in the 5 wides and then you got out of it, is it safe for the defense to say, they're going to try a run?
It's
It's
simpleton,
not
you're
rocket
right.
science.
It's
Like,
very
when
very
you start
easy.
bringing-
Wait a
when you
minute.
bring a running back and send a tight end in motion, here comes the run.
Yep.
Leroy,
come on.
Leroy, I don't like how you be trying to make it seem like defensive players ain't that smart.
Dude, do you see the way they hyperventilate when somebody go in motion? Stop.
Listen, it depends. First of all, it depends on who is going in motion. Because if it's Tyreek Hill, yes,
Yeah.
we hyperventilate. But if it's Harrison Bryant, I don't care.
Dude, let me tell you something. There's been times when my butt went in motion to the slot, and they would try to decide on defense whether the safety was going to come up. Was I good enough to bring the safety up, or should the linebacker widen out? Right? You got it. You get him. You get him. He's a big. You get him. Right? Like, yeah.
Oh my
Stop.
goodness.
All the conversations, discussions, all that in the 30 seconds that y'all have is hilarious to me.
By the way, where do you think the Browns rank this year in terms of percentage of offensive plays that are running plays? Where do you think they rank?
I would say that they are at about 45%.
No.
45%.
No, in the
Where
rank,
they rank?
from 1 to 32.
1 to 32.
I'd say we're upper half.
In terms of the high, with 1 being the team that runs the ball most often, highest percentage, versus the team 32 is the team that throws the ball most often.
I'd say they top 10. But here's the thing.
Yeah, they're number 7.
Here's the thing.
Yeah, I would expect that.
You can't compare what the Browns do to other teams.
Exactly.
They have to play their style of football,
And when their
which
best
we've
players
been
are
begging
running
for
back-
the last 2 years.
I agree.
Absolutely.
It has nothing to do with what the rest of the league is doing.
First
Everything
of
that
all,
I'm
Nick Chubb's
talking about.
hurt for two and a half of the 4 games, and they're still
But again,
7th in running.
everything that I am talking about pertains to the Browns and the Browns only. You got to be the best version of you. Okay? 5 wides and a Cleveland Browns uniform don't look
good.
right.
That's ridiculous.
No, they don't have the 5 wides.
They don't have 5 wide capability.
Gee, you've been screaming for them to run a more creative offense.
Bro,
You've been complaining about tight ends
He
for
did
years.
do that.
But hold on, let me give you a rebuttal.
5 wides ain't creative.
Hold on. I've been laughing on the internet for 5 years about Kevin Stefanski going 5 wide with 3 tight ends.
That's true.
And running sit-down routes with Hooper and Harrison Bryant. Listen, he's one of the worst athletes I've ever seen in a spot shot. Harrison Bryant.
The Mackey winner?
Hey, listen, that was 10 years ago, and this man, and you go 5 wide with them, I don't like your 5 wide package because you got 3 tight ends in it. That's all I'm saying. Go ahead.
Even with Nick Chubb only playing a game and a half, the Browns are running the ball more than 25 teams at a higher percentage.
We don't care about those teams, though.
And we don't even well, the Browns have a
If
quarterback. who runs
the
the
Browns need to get Brock Bowers next year, that's what they
Oh, listen, they sold for him.
And by the way, the 7 teams ahead of the Browns, most of them don't have quarterbacks, don't have good quarterbacks, or they have running quarterbacks. So the Browns run it plenty. This idea that they don't run enough is ridiculous.
You can. It's not that they don't run it enough.
They're not effective
But
right
every week we come in here and they've decided to throw a short pass and kill the clock when they should be running the ball down their throat and ending the game.
With who, Leroy?
Right?
You can't do that when you're losing, Leroy. They did that all the time last. When they're winning, they run it in the 4th quarter. That's what teams do.
I just want to know with who.
Who are they supposed to run it with now?
Here,
Well, with Nick
you
Chubb
have
not
one
in
of
the
the
game,
best.
obviously it's
well,
harder now.
with everybody banged up a little bit up front, you did have one of the best offensive linemen in the game, right?
Run blocks, yeah.
Run block.
Yep.
So I'm not saying that anybody else playing is Nick Chubb. I would not insult that man like that. But I'm saying, you telling me you can't have production to some extent? You see what I'm saying?
We hope they can. So far, they haven't.
Especially when you're built to do that.
So far,
That's what your identity is.
No, the
You are
identity is no
physical
longer
up
about
front.
running the football. There's
What?
You went and got Deshaun Watson to be a passing team because that's how you win in this NFL.
Do you got passing linemen? Do you got passing receivers?
You got one?
You can only.
Gee, you picked him to throw for 500 yards this year.
He did.
Don't tell me they don't have a passing team.
He did do that too.
Do you got?
That was the Kool-Aid talk.
Bush, you killing us! Bush, you
did.
killing us with all these thoughts you putting out there.
He did say that.
Hey,
Are you
hey,
telling him to lay off the sauce? And by sauce, I mean Kool-Aid.
And then you sit next to DJ Khaled. He did another one.
but listen.
He's talking before the season about 3,000-yard receivers. I'm crazy saying they're a passing
I gotta keep him honest, Leroy. He did. I was sitting right here. He did say that.
I got an ultimate excuse. I thought they was gonna have a balanced passing attack with my boy Nick Chubb. Yeah. Nick Chubb's no longer here. They took that off the plate.
Even more
and
reason
to G.
for
Bush's
5,000.
credit, so, like all we heard, Leroy, and the lesson after this training camp: stop buying the propaganda. All we heard from people behind the Browns lines that were watching these practices that other people couldn't see. I heard it from 4 different people. Watch out for that offense.
Facts.
This offense is going to blow the lid off the NFL. They're not going to know what hit them. They're diverse.
Okay.
The screen game, the passing game, the run game.
And it's the
Don't
same
hype
playbook.
that up.
All we know
and then
is
give us this.
So far, the first game was ridiculous weather. It would have been hard to run a big offense in that game.
Yeah, we'll give them a
Second
pass
game,
there.
no excuse. They played
None.
like crap, blah, blah, blah.
Awful.
Third game, the offense was great, especially the passing game.
It was. That's
And the
what I
fourth-
thought we'd see every week.
And the fourth game, you had a guy in over his head. So there's not enough of a sample size with Deshaun Watson
Correct.
yet to know.
Hey, we agree on something, boy.
Look at that, Leroy.
So what you saying? There is a chance he throw for 5,000 yards then.
No.
No.
Hey,
that ship sailed.
can I tell you this, Bull? If
Yeah.
if Deshaun Watson throw for 5,000 yards, that mean they playing catch up too much.
Hey, I didn't predict it. He predicted
Leroy-
it. Don't-
Hey,
Leroy-
listen, there's 13 games left. If he throws for 400 yards a game, he's right there.
Y'all need to cut it out.
Striking position.
Patrick Mahomes throws for
this out.
5,000 yards. They're not coming from behind very often.
Leroy, don't you want to see Pierre Strong get more carries?
Yes.
You know what?
He's
I was
averaging
kinda-
10 in his career. 10 yards a carry, I think, in his career.
I was okay. I was okay with Jerome Ford. You could probably get him in there, but the most important thing is you got to probably commit to the run a little bit. You know what I mean?
Right.
You got to kind of find ways to get these guys in their sweet spot. Jerome Ford is an outside guy, but you need to go to Jerome Ford and say, hey, here's the deal. We would like to run you with the football, but every time you're in the game, they know we running out wide. So you better learn how to run in between the tackles or you're going to play sparingly. That's life.
Yeah.
That's life. Like, you don't need to be a rock scientist to figure out certain guys in the game, this is what they going to do.
Is that teachable,
Facts.
though, Leroy? Can he learn to run between the tackles when that's clearly
Especially
not
in the middle of
the
the
way
season.
he's built, and that's not his skill
Yeah.
set? He can?
Guess what? Metcalf did it. You got to do it. You don't have to be a 15 or 20 carry guy up the middle, but you got to be able to do it to keep defenses honest.
Metcalf did do that. You're
Leroy-
right. He could
Leroy-
make guys miss in a small hole.
Leroy, I'm gonna tell you like this. Don't say
What's
it.
up?
Don't say that statement because I stood up here last year and said there would be no coverage bust for the rest of the year in the secondary.
Oh, yeah,
and
you did.
I was totally wrong. Everybody ain't us.
The next week we had 4
Everybody
DBs
ain't
looking at
us.
each other, shrugging their shoulders.
So it might not be as simple as you making it sound. Right?
By the way, Leroy,
Listen,
go ahead.
the more simple you can keep football, the better you can succeed at it and be great at what you do. It's like, don't overcomplicate it. Like, you watch DTR out there, it looked like it was complicated. Woo! Right?
hey, Leroy, your boy Bill Belichick, is he shot? Is he done? Has the game passed him by?
Yep.
Yep.
I'm going to say this, like I say with all coaches. You can't win without players. The incredible thing that Bill Belichick is doing this year is keeping these damn games close with those players.
Well, not
Well,
this
not
week.
last
He
week.
got
Last week,
smoked.
I had to
This
say.
past
That
week.
was that was the worst loss
Yeah.
of his career.
Of his
But-
career. And then
but-
think about that. That's his worst loss of career, and Cleveland ran him out of town.
I know.
No. That's the worst offensive career, and he came into our stadium and beat us with Bailey Zappi. I
Well,
don't want to hear about
hold
Bill
on.
Belichick.
Point of clarification.
40-something points.
Yeah.
Didn't technically Baltimore run him out of town? Cleveland didn't run him out of town.
No, he was fired before they went to Baltimore. Because they had a new coach, Ted Marchibroda, when we got there.
Right, but
So-
it was they were going to Baltimore.
Yeah.
I'm blaming Baltimore for him getting fired.
Just blame Art
Really?
Modell. I
Well,
mean,
it's Art
right.
Modell.
Art Modell
But
did it.
in fairness, Leroy,
Yeah.
unlike most teams, Bill's picking the groceries in New England. And he's done a bad job of that in recent years.
He ain't never, like, contrary to popular belief, he ain't never been that good at the drafting.
Right.
Yeah.
They just got a hell of a culture, and they had some older guys that kind of, built it and kept it going, and you had enough of the veteran guys, the guys you trusted in the system that kept it going when the new guys came in. But if you look at all his draft picks, they ain't been a whole lot that been that
Yeah.
good.